two negative charge
Two
particles?
negative charge particles. They come together and make
Can
positive.
we put two negative charge particles together?
No.
Nope.
Negative things are always going to push each other away. They're always going to push. They're always
Power
going to push
two
each other away.
negatives gonna make a positive.
It cannot exist in this universe, or if there's other universe.
It cannot. And think about Kirchhoff's law regarding the black body. Now, this is where Planck, if you could look up Kirchhoff, this is where the Planck model came from. Max Planck was working off of his model, and part of the radiation from Kirchhoff's law was that a black body, it's always going to radiate into these individual cavities, and these cavities are not going to be dependent on the temperature of the walls. They're going to be dependent upon the temperature of what came in there. That was all wrong. Kirchhoff's entire law is wrong, and that's what Planck was based off of. But you look at the Planck model and think about it. It talks about if you want to do a Planck charge and all of these things, you have to use gravity. Gravity is included in there, and the speed of light is included in there. But gravity at the Planck charge, at the Planck point, is not supposed to be in effect. It's not supposed to. When you get down to the quantum area, gravity is not something that's able to affect those small areas. So why is gravity part of Planck's constant? Or the speed of light, which we know changes constantly depending upon the medium that it's going in there. So having the speed of light as a constant, having gravity as a constant, and
basically meaning like speed of light going through space versus speed of light going through our environment versus speed of light going through water, the medium at which it's going, whatever that the light is going through is going to determine how fast it moves through that medium.
Yeah.
Planck's charge lets you know that this is the Planck's charge, that Planck's entire Planck number is false because they've changed the speed of light to now they've attached it to another thing so that the speed of light doesn't fluctuate. They've attached it to the measurement itself. So it's always going to be the measurement. That's wrong. That's fudgery. Rupert Sheldrake talked about that.
Why does this matter? What does this reveal?
Let me expand. Let's.
Why is that a shitty question to ask?
Yeah.
Is there a better way to ask it, or am I tripping? Was that not an asshole thing to?
Yeah, it's a better way to ask it. I think the best move right there would be silence for the moment, like let them see, like let them
think about it.
See where it go.
Everything,
but did he though?
Is resonance. Nothing. There is no solid matter. It's not a force-based universe. It's a harmony-based universe, and therefore that's why everything has a prime resonant frequency by which it bonds or break bonds. You can manipulate anything into anything else by creating the right harmonic or resonant conditions. That's everything that we've been talking about. We don't need, the reason it's important is now you're able to manipulate the universe without hurting the universe. We don't have to use barbaric measures anymore. We can now take the subspace in energy that's coming from another thing, they've gotten rid of the ether.
Bro, this is so profound. I'm going over. I don't care. I'm a nerd. This was profound. I'm tripping that more people aren't talking about all of this other stuff that they talked about. It's really disappointing. I can't lie. It's very disappointing that out of all of this, all of these podcasters, all of these professional whatever people, all these whatever, everything that was said through this whole hour and some change, and all they got is Diddy tried to screw me. That's wild. This is what I wanted to get to, because this is why I think
you are running at the speed of light. Okay, I'm gonna just try to bring the audience on. So if we say it's wrong, very easy to say. What is right? What is really, we talk about the electron, really what it is? He mentioned about it. So if we cannot have a single charge particle, what happens? the so-called electron, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Are carried both positive and negative charge as one particle. Now I wanted to question the audience, what kind of particle in this world? I know everybody since 3 years old, you know this term. What carry both of the charge? Do you have a guess?
Hydrogen. Everything.
Oh, you are talking about in the chemical terms.
Sorry.
I'm talking about in terms of what type of a particle, not that time. Magnets.
Yes.
Magnets is the one it carries both negative and positive charges, and I will explain this, the misconception about the charge and the magnetism. But so-called the electron is actually dipolar magnets.
Why does this matter? What
Great
does this
questions.
reveal?
Let me expand. Let's.
Why is that a shitty question to ask?
Yeah.
Is there a better way to ask it, or am I tripping? Was that not an asshole thing to?
Yeah, it's a better way to ask it. I think the best move right there would be silence for the moment. Like let them see, like let them
think about it.
See where it go.
Yeah, let them think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Here, real quick, shout out to Cody Marshall. Did that take that down? Hold on, sorry, Cody. Hold on, broski. Shout out to Cody Marshall for the $2 holiday. He said that's because people's minds are carnal. You know what, big guy? I don't disagree with you, broski. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Cody Marshall. Let's let it rock.
Let's say,
Please.
Because of we assuming the electron is a negative charge particle, so then this is a great news for build his Bohr model, right?
Yeah.
Build the Bohr model. Say, hey, we have a positive charge nucleus, and we have a negative charge the electron. How can we measure them? Because we assume atom is neutralized, right? How can we measure them with a negative particle and positive particle? And the one assumption is that they cannot in contact. Once they are in contact, that's create matter-antimatter annihilation.
Okay. Did you kind of get what you're saying? Okay. So magnets, the positive side and the negative side attract, right? What he's saying is that the nucleus, as we've been told, is the positive charge, and the electron that's going around is the negative charge. Well, if that's the case, then the negative charge would latch on to the nucleus. It wouldn't move. The reason why, so what they're saying, what he's essentially about to say is that the nucleus itself, it's got a positive and a negative, and it's vibrating and moving on its own, is what's really going on. But if conceptually, if you take a positive charge and allegedly your negative charge is floating around it, why wouldn't your negative charge just come in contact with your positive charge? That's what it would do, right? Instead of the only reason or only way it would stay is if it were negatively charged, if they were both negatively charged and they were repelling each other in a way. That's the only way that would work. But they're not. Well, they're, and again, the structure is wrong.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, well, now we have to explain this in a different way.
So if they are not in contact, how does atomic model has to work to prevent negative charge and the neutron and protons in the nucleus attract each other? It has to be rotated. It has to rotate, create a revolution, or we can spin.
And this is what I was saying. The spin is not because of some spinners. The spin is coming from the balance of action and reaction. Because of the resistance, the spin has to occur. Because everything in the universe is balanced, in order for it to interact, it has to spin around it, and which means that it is a finite and confined space, because otherwise it would just keep moving away from each other. But the fact that it spins tighter.
So rotation is required to create a centrifugal force to balance electromagnetic attraction. So that's where comes the Bohr model. And this model is built based on negative charge particle and the positive charge nucleus. If both the nucleus and the electron protons are magnetic particles,
They are.
Are they going to have this rotating? Do they need this rotating? No, they are naturally connected. So atomic model, so what I found, atomic model has no rotation part whatsoever in atomic model. There's no rotation, it only what the parts may vibrate.
It's all vibratory oscillations.
That's how light created.
Do you hear that? There's no electron going around. It's just there and it vibrates. This is what he said.
Yeah.
Everything
But did he though?
is resonance. Nothing, there is no solid matter. It's not a four-space universe. It's a harmony-based universe. And therefore, that's why everything has a prime resonant frequency by which it bonds or break bonds. You can manipulate anything into anything else by creating the right harmonic or resonant conditions. That's everything that we've been talking about. We don't need, the reason it's important is now you're able to manipulate the universe without hurting the universe. We don't have to use barbaric measures anymore. We can now take the subspace in energy that's coming from another thing, they've gotten rid of the ether.
Bro, this is so profound. I'm going over. I don't care. I'm a nerd. This was profound. I'm tripping that more people aren't talking about all of this other stuff that they talked about. It's really disappointing. I can't lie. It's very disappointing that out of all of this, all of these podcasters, all of these professional whatever people, all these whatever, everything that was said through this whole hour and some change, and all they got is Diddy tried to screw me. That's wild.
Now this entire thing, and so they've created all these other particles to carry these charges, that used to be carried by the ether. They got rid of the ether, and then it was like, but light has to be carried on a wave. The ether has always been that way, but what we've proven with the wave conjugations, back to the other question you asked, the wave conjugations, the linchpin and the all shapes, mirrored all shapes, these create the conditions of the ether. They define the ether in itself that allows all this stuff to move. And what they're angry about is not that I just have the patents, but also the super grand unifying supersymmetry, plus now the equations that prove everything that I've been saying. That's why I wanted you to see the papers before. Yeah. And the three-body problem solving that now with the idea of the proton and the energy of the electron. Now we're able to manipulate the universe's energy by rebuilding the planet Saturn without gravity. Now we can use that. Now we can manipulate the energy of the universe to create any condition we want. Now that's
okay. I'm going to try to, I want everyone to, again, I'm just a regular dude, but I'm a nerd sometimes on the weekends. Okay. Essentially what he's saying is, in a similar way, and I'm going to go at the most, I'm trying to be as base as I possibly can, right? Like water has its three phases, right? It's like frozen when it's a solid, liquid, at room temperature. Yeah. And then when it's vapor, it's gas. Yeah. Got me? Okay. With relatively simple amounts of power, we can freeze that molecule, that water, right? Put it in the freezer, the amount of energy necessary to make an ice cube. We can just leave it out. Room temperature will keep it liquid. That's its most natural state. Or the amount of energy necessary to vaporize it and make it gas. Okay. So the amount of energy necessary to change this thing from solid to liquid to gas, you're essentially manipulating those molecules and you're making it what you need to make it. What he's describing is being able to do that very same thing with everything, because the science is the same. Once you have an understanding of the element that you're working with, you apply a particular amount of pressure and or understanding the element, being able to apply pressure and the frequency, you can manipulate whatever you want to manipulate. Bless you. Got me? So I used water as an example because we use water all the time and we understand it. But imagine being able to do the very same thing with uranium or plutonium or whatever. And since the science is the same, the way the system works, given the right amount of energy and the right pressure circumstances, and frequency, you can alter this stuff. Well, I believe back way back in the day before us, I think that's how they were manipulating things. So they were doing science, but they were doing science in a more natural way. If I had to guess,
it's the end of oil. That's the end of big tech, because they have to create an sphere of the electron. Now we're able to manipulate the universe's energy by rebuilding the planet Saturn without gravity. Now we can use that. Now we can manipulate the energy of the universe to create any condition we want. Now that's the end of oil. That's the end of big tech, because they have to change everything out. But that's going to happen anyway, because we're behind the gun.
Are you considered a rebel amongst your peers? Would they consider you a rebel or no?
I believe some generally outside my circle, they, because I basically keep my discovery in-house, and everything. When I did a lot of lecturing or public speaking to university and conference, have a serious talk with a physicist, they would agree with me after normally half hour or 1 hour conversation. They would agree with me. Let me extend your.
And he works for NASA, by the way.
Questions. You ask great questions. What's the significance? If electrons are not a single charged particle, it's actually a dipolar magnet. So there's impossible have an atomic model with something orbiting around a positive charged particle. It was naturally connected. So in a real atom, like all the images with technology, we all see just like a lattice shape of the sesame ball, the lattice shape. They have elasticity. That means they have a distance, but they cannot separate it. They have elasticity to recovery. So the significance is if there is no principal orbit, right? So there is no such concept of quantum jump, quantum leap, which is a very, very controversial art concept at the time. During the year, Niels Bohr proposed this one, because in reality, the solar, let's use the solar system.
This is crazy what they're about to say, bro.
You don't see a planet jump into another orbit out of nowhere. The planets don't Mercury doesn't jump into Venus's orbit. That's what he's talking about. None of these stuff. There was none of these huge jumps that they were predicting with the electron model.
Can you pull that up, Rob? Because I fully understand what he's saying, but I want to visually show it. So orbit, meaning if there is.
Just look up electron orbit. Yeah, you look up the electron orbit.
Go to images.
And they believe that electrons spontaneously jump into
That's a good one.
orbits. Yeah.
Who's
S1,
they?
S2, S2.
Who's they?
Eric Weinstein, the standard model, their whole thing.
Standard model of particle physics.
Standard model of particle physics. They're like, it don't look like that. It can't look like that.
No.
Think about how crazy this is, bro. My paradigm, my fundamental understanding on this planet has changed dramatically in the last week.
Yeah.
Starting with this whole thing going to the moon.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
radiation belts.
Bro, it's 50,000 to 90,000 kilometers wide. We don't even come within 750 kilometers of the front end of this thing. Typically, the space station is way closer to the Earth than where this radiation belt is. And they were just talking about the reason why they were going up through the North Pole, right? You heard this in the news recently, was because up there, the radiation belt is smaller. It bows out where the fat part of the planet is. So they think if they go through the north, it's easier to get through, which also proves to me that they haven't been through it. Like all the other bullshit, you could talk about all the other shit, bro. All the other stuff. You can talk about the fake videos and the fake this and the fake that and the fake this. I don't care about none of that shit. If you're telling me that there is a couple of 100,000 kilometers up there that have crazy radiation that we have not been able to send a living thing through, not a plant, not a dog, not a monkey. We haven't been able to send it through there. We've got dummies in spacecraft right now circling around the moon because we can't put human beings up there. All this bullshit was a lie. And then come to find out, no wonder you couldn't get to the moon, you fucking idiot. You got the atom wrong. Holy shit.
It's all based on the quantum.
But you have to match it.
Orbits.
You're supposed to match it to natural phenomena. Can you imagine if the Earth out of nowhere just jumped into Mars's orbit? What that would do to the